Hello students, we'll move on with the next topic, that is virus and worms. Okay, so here virus, or you can say computer virus, is a program that infect your legitimate program or whatever program you have in your system. So it's going to infect that program and it is going to modify them to include some possibly evolved copy of itself, or it can also say it is going to infect your program and might do some modification in the program what is there in your system. Okay, it can do all those things. So this virus are going to spread. Now how now the recent trend or the recent in news is our coronavirus, how it spreads. So that is something in real. Here we are speaking about the virus that is of a system. That is virus are nothing but it is a program, some malicious program which can spread themselves, and the user won't even know that it is there. Okay, so without the knowledge of the user, this virus gets spread in your system, and it can do some modification to the data or the program that is there in your system. Okay, so computer virus passes from one computer to the other in similar manner as how we speak about this coronavirus. So we say coronavirus is a biological, that is a biological virus which spread from one person to another. Similarly, the virus what we are speaking here, that is computer virus, they're nothing but program. Even they spread from one system to other. Okay, or one computer to other. This virus may also contain some malicious instruction which may cause damage to our program, which might also cause damage to our program. So it is possibly a combination of malicious code with the ability to spread. That is, we said from one system to the other, it can spread. So it might have that malicious code. Because of that, the spreading of this virus can happen. So these viruses often spread without any visible symptoms. So we don't even get to know that the virus has been infected to our system. We might only get to know when we may not be able to open some files, right? Only then we might get to know. Or any cases it happens that the icons of the file might get changed. Only then we get to know that the system is infected with the virus. So this virus can start on event driven effect. So here the meaning of event driven effect, it might be like 10 a.m. every day this virus might be invoked, you can say. Or some time driven effect, like every Saturday, whenever Saturday with the date 10, then this virus will be infected, such kind of thing. So that you can call it as event driven effect. Okay, effects. Or it can be like some triggered after some specific number of execution. Now a program might be executed 5 times. When it goes to the sixth time, then this virus might be triggered like that. Okay, so viruses can take some typical actions, like it might display a message to prompt an action which may set of the virus. That is some message it might display, wherein in that prompt an action will be told. Or it might also delete some files inside the system into which the virus gets, or you can say into the system in which virus enters. It might also scramble the data that is there on your hard disk, and it might also cause some peculiar behavior of your screen. Something like your screen might be turned to some other color, or some flickering, something like that. Okay, and it might also halt the system. The system might not on, even that can happen. Or it might just do a copy of themselves to what spread further, to propagate further harm. So for that purpose it might just replicate themselves. Okay, so here there is a diagram given to you, that is how virus spread through the internet. Okay, so they have given stepwise sorry. So they have given step by step here. So in the first step, what happens? Virus is intentionally uploaded to an internet server and it is distributed via the email. So from the internet server, the email through the email, the virus can be distributed. So the internet server and the hard disk are infected with the virus, or the server facility distribution of the virus. So here what is happening? The internet server as well as the hard disk are infected with the virus. And in the third step, what they're saying, somehow the virus gets downloaded onto the computer of the unsuspecting user. So what has happened? They are infecting the virus into the internet server only, which might also, along with that, even in the hard disk also, the virus might be infected. So when a person downloads some data, then this virus will be brought into his system. So the user don't even won't even be knowing that he is infected by the virus. Okay, so that's what a true virus can only spread from one system to another. That is, yes, virus can spread from one system to another. That is true. Then a worm, that's about viruses and worms. So worms spread itself automatically to other computers through networks by exploiting the security vulnerability. So any loopholes that is there in your network. Okay, so because of that loophole, this worms can spread itself automatically. So here virus, worms, what we are speaking, we are not speaking about the biological ones. Okay, we are just speaking about computer virus and worms, which are nothing but program, some malicious code which causes some harm. Okay, so this computer virus has the ability to copy itself and also infect the system. So here, when you say worm, it is that is sorry. When you say virus, it is it's a type of. You can also say it's a type of malware. Also, you can say, okay, or adware and spyware program that do not have a reproductive ability, whereas in this case, virus they can spread, right? So that's what here we say, a true virus can only spread from one system to another in some form of executable code. That is, when its host is taken to the target computer. So you can say, like, when a user sent it over the internet or the network, or through some removable media like CD, this or your pen drive. Many a times it has happened, or it happens usually. You take your pen drive, you insert it to one system, and again take in, if that system is infected by virus, again you take that pen drive and install it to another system. In case the antivirus is not updated, then in that case what happens, the other system also get infected. So this way it is transmitted from one system to the other, right? So viruses can increase the chances of their spreading to other system by infecting files or the network, or the file system, or whenever that particular file system is accessed by another system, then even the other system get infected. Okay, so the term computer virus is sometimes used as a catch-all phrase to include all types of malware, adware, spyware program that do not have reproductive ability. Okay, so malware, when you say, it includes computer virus, it includes worms, it includes trojan, and most rootkits, spyware, adware, all these things together, we can say as malware. So viruses are sometimes like confused with computer worms and trojan horse, but they are not the same. Okay, so when you say virus as well as computer worms or trojan horses, they are different. So worm spreads itself automatically. That's what we said here. Worm spreads itself automatically to other computer through networks by exploiting some loopholes in the network. That is what we say, security vulnerability. Whereas Trojan, that is a program, or you can say Trojan is a code that appears to be harmless but hides some malicious function. So that's the difference here. So worm spreads automatically from one system to the other by exploiting the vulnerabilities of the network. Whereas your Trojan is nothing but a program or a code that looks harmless, but within it hides some malicious functions. So this worms and Trojans, such as viruses, may harm the system's data or even the performance. Some viruses and other malware have some noticeable symptoms that enable the computer user to take some corrective actions, but many viruses simply do nothing for the user to take note of them, or the user won't even know. So it is better always to have an antivirus installed in your system. Okay, so that is the best possible way you can say, wherein keep your antivirus updated always. So whenever the possibility that any infection or any virus possibility of infecting your system, then we have the antivirus who is going to protect us from this viruses. Okay, so next we go to type of viruses or types of viruses. So computer viruses can be categorized based on attacks on various elements of the system, and can put the system as well as personal data on the system in danger. So according to that, your viruses can be, the first one is called as boot sector viruses. So this boot sector viruses, it infects the storage media on which operating system is stored. So boot sector. So boot sector viruses. So these are the viruses which are going to infect the storage media on which operating system is stored. So for that purpose, boot sector. So where operating system is stored, and which is used to start the computer system, right? So during the booting process, what happens, you might have learned in your operating system. So during booting, we have the bootstrap loader, which is going to find the location where your operating system is present, and it is going to load, right? So here boot sector viruses are going to infect those storage media only where this operating system will be stored, so which is required to start the computer system. So in this case, the entire data and program, the entire data program are stored on the floppy disk and hard disk in smaller sections. You can call them as sectors. The first sector is called as a boot, and it carries the master boot record. So the master boot records function is to read and load the operating system that enables the computer system to start through the operating system. So, if a virus attacks this master boot record only, or infects the boot record of a disk, such as it can be floppy or hard disk, uh, it infects the victim's hard drive. When she reboots the system, that is when you're owning the system or rebooting the system while the infected disk is in the drive. So in this case, once the victim's hard disk is infected, all the floppy disks that are being used in the system will be infected. Okay, so boot sector viruses often spread on other systems when shared infected disk and pirated softwares are used. So that is what your boot sector viruses, wherein it infects the storage media where operating system is stored. So we can call the part where the boot related information is there, that is which is required to load the operating system. You can call it as a master boot record. So this kind of viruses is going to infect the boot sector. Okay, next one, program viruses. These viruses become active when the program file, something like .com or .exe, or we can say .bin, and these kinds of program files are executed, then this program viruses becomes active. Okay, so once the program files get infected, the virus makes copies of itself and infects the other program on the computer. So that is all about your program virus. So program virus becomes active, or these viruses becomes active when program files like something .bin.com, when this kind of files is executed, your program files become active. Okay. Next is multi-part write viruses. So it is a hybrid of a boot sector and a program virus. Multi-part write. So boot sector we already said, wherein which is related to load the operating system, right? So the storage media on which operating system is stored, it is going to infect that. So that is your boot sector. Whereas program, whenever program viruses, this are the virus which becomes active when program files are executed. So whereas multi-part type, so this is a combination, or you can say hybrid of both boot sector as well as program virus. So this infects program files along with the boot record when the infected program is active. So when your program virus, so program virus we said this virus becomes active when a program file is executed, right? So multi-part, right? Hybrid or the combination of both. So according to that, what we can say, it infects program files along with the boot record. Okay, boot record as well as the program files when the infected program is active. So when the victim starts the computer system next time, it will affect the local drives also and any other programs which are there in our victim's computer system. And the next one is stealth viruses. When you say stealth, you can say it is like camouflage. It camouflages, like it changes the color or mask itself. And so detecting this type of virus is very difficult. That is called as stealth virus. So stealth viruses are those which camouflages, or you can say we say that mm, some animals are there who can change their color according to the surroundings, right? So that is what we say as camouflage. So here we can say it masks or hides itself. So detecting these kinds of viruses are very difficult. It can disguise itself such a way that antivirus software also in a case cannot detect it, thereby preventing spreading into the computer system is difficult. That is, even antivirus also may not be able to identify this virus. So it alters its file size and conceals itself in the computer memory to remain in the system undetected. So it is doing all this modification. So the first computer virus was named as Brain, was a stealth virus. Okay, so good antivirus detects a stealth virus luring on victims' system. So we say that an antivirus is a good one if it is able to detect the stealth virus also, which is there in our system. By checking the areas the virus must have infected by leaving some evidence in the memory. So stealth viruses are those viruses which can disguise itself and hide or disguise itself so that it cannot be identified by the antivirus software. Okay, next one you have is polymorphic. So it acts like a chameleon that changes its virus signature. So stealth, we said it camouflages or it disguises itself. So here polymorphic, it acts as a chameleon. That is chameleon, what does it do again? That also it is going to change its body color, right, according to the environment. But here in polymorphic, what is a change? It changes the virus signature. That is some binary, it will be some binary pattern every time it spreads through the system. So whenever it is spreading from one system to another, it is going to change the virus signature. Now how we say, previously we said we have COVID, that is COVID. Then they said that it has been altered or some next version or modified. Then now they are saying as Delta, and they're saying it as Delta plus. So that is what the virus is changing. So that is what here polymorphic viruses. So in this case, what you say, viruses are changing their signature. Okay. Hence, it is always difficult to detect polymorphic viruses with the help of an antivirus program. So, we have some antivirus program which will be for this virus. So, that's what they say now. Whatever vaccine we have, it is a vaccine for COVID. But whether the same thing can be used for other versions also, they're checking on that, right? So that is what here one antivirus you have installed, so that might be able to detect some of the viruses, but the viruses which has changed its signature, whether the antivirus will be able to detect it or not. So that should be done only by keeping your antivirus software updated always, right? So here the polymorphic generators are nothing but some routine or some small program that can be linked with the existing viruses. So these generators are not viruses, but they are used for the purpose of hiding actual virus under the clock of polymorphism. So the first all-purpose polymorphic generator was something called as mutation engine, which was published in the year 1991. Okay. Next one you have is macrovirus. So many applications such as Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, uh, that is they are going to support this macros or macro language. So these macro are programmed as a macro embedded in a document. So once a macro virus gets into a victim's computer, then every document that he or she produces will become infected. So that's what here macro virus. So every document that is being generated will be infected. So this type of virus is relatively new, you can say, and may get slipped by many of the antivirus if the user does not have the most recent version of the antivirus installed in his or her system. So make sure your antivirus is always updated. And the last type you have is ActiveX and Java control. So all the web browsers have settings about ActiveX and Java control. So very less or limited awareness is needed about managing and controlling the settings of a web browser to prohibit or to allow certain functions to work, such as enabling and disabling some pop-ups or downloading some files or some sounds which invite the threat for the computer system being targeted by unwanted software. Okay, so that's about your what you can say your types of viruses. Okay. Next, a diagram. Yeah. Next, you have a difference is given between viruses as well as worms. So, different types. So, stealth, self-modified virus, encryption, variable key virus, polymorphic, metamorphic code virus. Whereas in case of worm, you can say email. In email, you can have worm which automatically does, right. Instant messaging worms, internet worms, all this. Spreading mode needs a host program to spread self without any, in worms in this case, without any user intervention. So here the user from one system, he might be sending the data to other or in the form of pen drive or something. Here it is self without any user intervention. Next facet is what is it? So, computer virus is software program that can copy itself and infect the data or the information without the user knowledge. So, they just given the definition here. Whereas computer worm is a program which is self-replicating. At one point you should remember, where worm is self-replicating, which spread through a network. It can also send copies to the network with or without user intervention. So, that is about your worm. Inception, the creeper virus was considered as first known virus. It was spread through ARPANET in early as 1970. Whereas your worm, name worm, originated from Shockwave Rider, a science fiction, that's all, which was published in the year 1982, and prevalence over 1 lakh known computer virus have been there to, not all have been attacked computer, not everyone, not all the computers have been attacked. Prevalence of virus is very high against moderate prevalence for worm. That is what how it spreads. Next one diagram is given about how virus spread through standalone as well as through local network. So diagram is telling you everything. So we have two diagrams here, that is about how virus spread through standalone computers. So you can see here step by step they are given. Virus infected diskette is loaded to microcomputer system and hard disk is infected. So diskette in the sense this is like floppy that is loaded and the hard disk itself gets infected. A clean diskette is loaded into infected microcomputer. When removed, this diskette is now infected by the virus. So first an injecting is done, okay, is loaded into the microcomputer system, and once when a new diskette without an infection is loaded into the same system, when it comes out it will be infected. That is how you can say spreading in a standalone system. But whereas in case of virus spread through a local network, so what happens, virus is placed in a legitimate program code, then virus is transmitted via data communication links to another node in the network. Virus propagate through the nodes of the network. So what happens here, first virus is placed on the program code, then it is sent here, then it is propagated to all the nodes in the network. So almost every day new viruses or worms are created and they become a new threat for all of us using the system or the internet. So in summary we can say, in spite of the different platform like operating system, application, all those things, a typical definition of computer virus might have various aspects, such as virus attack specific file types. Virus manipulates a program to execute task unintentionally. Some manipulation it will do. An infected program produces virus. So again it is going to produce a virus. An infected program may run without error for a long time. Okay. Viruses can modify themselves and may possibly escape detection also, in case if your antivirus is not updated. So this is about your viruses and worms. We'll stop for this. We'll do with the next topic in the next class. Thank you.